Ready? Get started today. We were rushing last time, or I was, trying to get our image glitch going. I don't know if you saw, but I posted code. So let's get that. Let's all get to the same spot here. Some of you may be much further along. That's great. See if it'll load here. Discord doesn't seem to want to load. Oh no, it's broken. There it is. So last time when we left, I had copied this code off that website and I did one of those super famous things of not getting the last few lines of code. So that's why it wasn't doing anything. Just didn't have the last like 3 or 4 lines. So this is the code that is on that RuneScape site that we were looking at. So let's make sure everybody's at the same place here before we move forward. First of all, since we're going to be stuck with idle, we went to our folder that we're using for our 120 class, and we created a new folder inside of it to hold everything that we're going to use for our imaging glitching. So I called that folder image processing. And then we used the Runestone site to access GitHub. And on GitHub, we found some code that we could use to process these images. And it's this image.py program. So in case anybody doesn't have that copied, let's see if I can just post it to our Discord. Now, if you can grab it from Discord, that's fine. But in the utility that we were looking at, we did get that opportunity to go to GitHub and get that code. So do refer back to the video or something if that's something you've never done, because GitHub being a huge code repository is a great place to go find code like this. So it's kind of nice to know how to do that. Now, if we look inside that PY file, I'll go ahead and right click it and say edit with idle. First of all, remember it needs to be in this separate folder. And inside this is a bunch of documentation and a bunch of Python code that lets us handle image files. Is an object, is one big image. So we're not going to mess with their code. So if we were to encounter an error in our program that referred to that code, would that mean their code was bad? No, that would mean we called it incorrectly, right? We didn't give it enough information. So anytime you see an error, if it were coming from that module, that's still got to be us, you know, unless we did that same famous thing and didn't copy it properly. But sometimes when we see an error like that, we can automatically assume there must be something wrong with that code we went and found. But nope, in this one, we can be pretty sure it's probably us. Now, the next thing we did is we went and found a GIF. And it has to be a GIF .gif for our image.py code to work properly. They just decided that's what they were going to handle, and they only handle GIFs. So I've got mine here. I picked a Kermit one. And remember, we were trying to find something that was sort of smallish, but had enough colors that it was really going to show up that we were doing something to it. So we want to kind of find a good picture. We don't want it to just be like all brown or something. It's not going to show us much. My Kermit picture is not super colorful, but it has like animal in it and stuff. So it does at least have some different colors where I'll be able to tell that something happened. It's not just Kermit, you know, because just Kermit alone is kind of not enough. What's the tree? Now I can't think of his name. This tree that's the super cute character from Groot. Groot is a great one to do because you can find some really cute Groot pictures out there, some GIFs. But again, be careful because we don't just want a bunch of brown. Okay, has everybody found some stuff? So what I need you to have, first of all, you've got a folder. Inside your folder, you have the cimage.py file that you can find in Discord. And you have a GIF, some sort of GIF image that you've saved from the internet that you like. Now, we're going to write our program, so you should already have something. But if you don't, that's okay. We can start from scratch because we don't have a lot of code in here yet. I'm going to right-click on my image glitch.py. And if you remember, I told you last time, don't name everything image, right? Because we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff named image and you won't be able to keep track of it if we name everything image. So I named my program, my code, image glitch.py so that I would know that was the one that I wrote. Looking at grading and stuff, I've seen some people that have named it like my program or just anything so that it's different than just image. Now, this is the code that again, is on Discord also, just as a code drop. If you look at it, so you should be able to copy and paste all that code from that code drop there on Discord. And that's every bit of what I have in mind. Now let's look at every line of that code as we go through and think about running it. First of all, I need to scooch it over a little bit because that thing's cutting it off. My first line of code imports that cimage.py program that we copied. So we're saying, go get that, find that file, cimage, and import it into my code. But I want you to call it image in my program. So notice how it's just a little bit different. I could name it, I could call it whatever I wanted in my program. Now the cimage program, as I said, it creates an object. And we're going to talk more about objects next time. But an object is something that has attributes and has behaviors. So if I were thinking of a video game, an enemy could be an object, or a gift, or anything that I could receive could be an object, because each of those things has data associated with it and actions associated with it. With the image program, we create an object called an image. So the first thing we do is say, create an object called img. This object should use the image library that I've copied, and it should create an image. And that image should be created from this file, my permit.gif. So right there where that file name is, you want that to match your file name exactly. After we were in class last time, I was kidding with my daughter and I said, I was striking up my class again about making sure they have their view settings set right in File Explorer. And again, I said, you know, an old lady, seems like people would listen when I say something is super important. Like view, I need to make sure I am showing file name extensions and hidden items. And my daughter just cracked up. She was just hysterical. And she said, are you serious? That's you? And I said, what? And she goes, that's why I always have to have my view settings set that way, because you're so crazy about it? Yes, that's right. You learned that as a small child, my dear. And she said, I always wonder why people are saving things like .pdf, 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 .pdf. She said, I thought they were just idiots. I said, no, they don't have their view settings set right. Just like, oh my God, that makes so much sense here. I didn't know why I always set mine that way. So be like my daughter and just always set your view settings that way. I don't care if you remember that I told you to or not. Doesn't matter to me that she doesn't remember. So with my view settings set properly, I can tell exactly what my permit.gif file is named. And I know it's named .gif because if I accidentally downloaded something from the internet that was a JPEG, but I said to save it as a .gif, I'll be able to see that .jpeg.gif and know that there's a problem. So drive you crazy about that, but it is important. Now I've got my image set up, and then I'm going to use the actual image file, the program that I copied, to set up a window. My window is going to be named WIN, and my window is going to be sized a certain height and a certain width. In this application, I'm going to use the width and height of my image object to figure out how big to make that window. Okay? So I'm going to get the width and height from my image, and then I'm going to draw that window. I'm going to do this set delay thing, which I'm not really sure what it's doing because it has something to do with that image code that we copied. And then finally going to go into my for loops. So now I'm saying for every row in my image, I want to process it. And every time I start with a row, I'm going to have a new column. So for every column that's in that row, I'm going to process that row and column. Now that row and column intersection is going to give me a pixel. So for every row column intersection, I'm going to get that pixel at the specific column and row that I'm at. And then I'm going to update the red, green, and blue color code of that pixel. By updating it, I'm going to calculate new values, and then I'm going to create a new pixel object. My new pixel is going to be a pixel that has my new colors. And then finally, I'm going to use the set pixel function to update a row and column I'm looking at with my new pixel. Now, when I get all the way through both for loops, I'm going to redraw that window, and then I'm going to allow somebody to click on it to close out of it. So I'm going to run mine. What I'm worried about, though, is that my picture is going to show up on the wrong screen. Yep, of course. And it won't let me move it, so you can't see it. But it's over here, and first animal is getting all changed. It's taking forever. It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything. As a developer, oh, there it's finally done. You can see that it did finally let me move it. So whenever we were looking at our image glitch code, we found out last time that if we take 255 and we subtract our current color from it, we'll get a reverse video. So let's get everybody's working that way. Can you reverse one? I want to try something while you're working on yours. If I move my redraw of the window, I could move it up here to where every time I update a pixel, I redraw that window. I'll try it. I can do this so that I could test and make sure that it's actually working, since it takes so long to run. Is it doing it? Mine's not doing anything. Oops, I did something wrong. It should let me. Well, if you can see your picture, what I want you to see is, mine is getting mad at me. We should be able to move this redraw up inside of our loop. And then every time we change a pixel, we would redraw that window. We're going to see that it will take a really long time. That's going to take a lot of resources. So what I usually do is, instead of redrawing the window for every pixel update, we could try redrawing the window for every row update. And then we should see the lines changing as we go across the screen. I don't know why it's not letting me redraw that properly. Something's a little different that it has been in the past, and I'm not seeing it. There mine goes now. Hopefully you can see that row redrawing. So I can see that. It was just that the redrawing every pixel was so many resources that my machine was just like, no. So do you see your rows redrawing? Let's see some other people's here. Maybe we can fix some things. Let me close this. Okay, show me one of you guys this so that we can see it. Because you just have one monitor, so we'll be able to tell a lot easier than we can with mine, since I can't move it to the shared screen. Okay, so we got show here. We got a nice image. I'll have to look at it over here where I can see it. Could you zoom in a little bit? Is your file name right, I guess?
Like for the image?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just copy and pasted it in there, so it should be.
Should be right. All right.
Oh, no,
Yeah, you got a
I
G.
see it.
You see it?
I see it. Yep.
Now let's run it.
There it is.
Oh, there we go.
Sweet.
Let's see Rose changing. Oh, that's a good colory one.
Thank you.
This looks
Stop
good.
sharing.
Huh? Yeah, but I like it. I want to see it finish.
Okay, gotcha.
Now that it's going. That actually looks really cool the way it's coming out. Sometimes stuff is neat like that. Awesome. Anybody else? Yours not working? Let's see what's going on.
I'm not on the Zoom session. I got to Zoom play.
Are you not? Your kit share?
I'm not on the Zoom session.
What?
Not in the Zoom session.
So here's your folder.
Whatever. Hey, go to your. Should be. Might be a different folder. Go to your campus one or something. I'm not sure. There should be. There should be something like copy and paste the yeah. You just you change out just a couple of things and your gift.
All right, anybody else? Everybody doing something? What you got?
Yeah, I'm
Just take that thing over whenever you're ready. We'll figure it out. I'd like you guys to be in the Zoom session to share, because when I go around and figure out problems, I get all that experience that nobody else does. So, do I? Oh, okay. Silly thing. All right, let's see if it'll show us now. Code's in there. Oh, he's got it. Okay, we're gonna look at this one and see if we can figure out what's going on. So, whenever I look at it, I see that there's some code up here that's part of like the idle interpreter that's not Python code. You see that? So like the first line inside that file should be import. So all that other stuff is like, so let's open idle and see if we can copy it in there. Or do file new or something, depending on where you are. It all looks the same. So file, up on your file menu, new. And now you can paste code. And now you can save that file. Thank you. We just haven't used idle in so long. Beautiful. Now, what do we got? Import C image. So let's look at your folder. So in your image, what view settings do I want? Change your view settings to the ones I told you to use. So go to view, view menu, right here. Where's your folder list? View. I can't see up here because it's so. And then in view, you're going to show file types. You see your view menu there? View. And then you're going to be able to see what you got there. Okay, so this is not your image folder. In finding your view, we've gotten off. So let's get back to it. Now change your view settings. And then we need that cimage.py file to be in that same folder that I posted to Discord. Now let's try your image glitch and see if it's happy. Yay. Okay. And so what we did to refresh it after each row was we copied that win command up inside of our for loop so that it could execute it at the end of the outer for loop. I'm going to take over this thing. Good, good, good. It's working. We copied it because we still want to see the final one at the end, but moving it would probably do it too. I think either one is fine. All right, what I wanted to do is let's get back to our runestone stuff. If everybody's is working then with our reverse now. We're gonna look at doing some other things. So if we're having some problems still, let's get those going so other people are not just waiting. Stop it, computer. And we were looking at, I think it was image processing on your own where they finally got us to where we could get to the code. Let me back up. Add. Because down in here, they told us some other ways of handling some images. So here's the code we're working on. And they said this one reverses an image. What else did they say we could do? Some other pixel manipulation down here. So that's what I was looking for, some of these other manipulations. And of course, we could do lots of other things too. But let's try a grayscale. So for grayscale, we would average the red, green, and blue, and then use that for all. So let's say I would copy these three and I'm going to paste. And now these three up here, if I want to keep them, I can set up a comment and say, these are reverse video. And then I can keep my different mods if I want to. Okay, so how would we do a grayscale? Grayscale. They said we would average the three. So I would need to get the red plus the green plus the blue. And I would want to do that addition before I did my division. So I need to put all that addition within parentheses. And then I would divide by 3, because that would be my average, right? Now, because grayscale is this formula, I would use this formula for all 3 pixel colors. So I'll use it for my red, my green, and my blue. They'll all 3 basically be the average. So I could just calculate that once if I wanted to, and then use that same number over and over, or I can calculate it each time. Either way. Okay, so that should give us a grayscale. Let's run it and see. You should just see your output looking a little bit different. Oops, gave me an error. What'd you get? Did you get the same error if I got a typo? What do you think? Do we need to do some checking in there? Let's say our average, I told you, well, we could calculate that once. I guess that's what we'll do. Let's calculate our average once. And then we need it to be an integer, right? Because we can't have the decimal places. So maybe that's our only problem. Maybe we just need to cast that as an integer and get rid of that decimal place. I'll use my new calculated field. Just in case that's not the whole problem, maybe there's more. I'm going to go ahead and use this calculated field now. But I'm just going to try casting it as an integer, because that's probably my whole problem. It still says 0.0 is not an integer.
Should you cast it as a float, maybe?
Do I?
Cast it as a float, maybe?
Maybe try it. Or maybe I need to
Put the integer over the divided by 3. That's what it's talking about.
do what? Sorry, I can't hear.
Integer everything.
Integer everything. Yeah, because we're ending up with still some floats in that formula. So we can integer everything or put in another line of code to integer that average after it's calculated. Let's try either one of those. Doesn't like that one. But I did. So we can cast every single one. I think we'd be better off to put our whole formula within parentheses and then cast it this way. I was trying to use C# syntax, so that's probably part of my problem. Okay, it's not as mad at me this time. I'm going to get rid of this one. And so I've got some grayscale action happening over here that you guys can't see. Are you guys grayscaling? Don't see yours? Not working? Why not? Here's my grayscale. Let's fix problems. Let's see what's going on. Let me stop sharing so we can fix it. Let's see what it does. So, what do you have before that? Just a comment.
Yeah, just a comment of Grayscale.
I would back tab that statement all the way to the beginning of the line and then use your tab key. Now try it again. We can just get some garbage in there. Oh, it's still man. That seems to have made it happier.
Oh, there we go.
Just silly comments. Sometimes they really mess with us and they shouldn't. Thank you. What about you guys? How you doing? Did you get it? Is it working? Let's see yours. Everybody else getting some grayscale?
Mine's not doing it.
Why not? Let's get them fixed. What's it do when you try to run it?
It doesn't do any.
But the image is named inside the file.
Okay, so let's just try a different image.
Oh, you didn't pass it.
Yeah, some of our images we won't fight with for a long time. We'll just try a different one because they could have been converted 57 times or something that we don't know about. Anybody who's not working, that should be. Let's see what's going on.
One more.
It's going. You just have to wait for it. Did it ever get done with the previous one? It might just be too big of an image. I know it looks teeny, but they can be huge if it has many, many layers. So try and find a different one just to mess with, and let's see if we can find one that's simpler. Who else has one that's not working? Who has one that's working really cool that we should see?
I just have like one more block.
Oh, let's see if he moves faster. Oh, I see your problem. I see what it is. See how you got the exit on click code copied too? We don't want to copy that line of code that says exit on click. We only want that at the very end. We don't want it in your loops. So what we want right there is just like you have it. Let's try it now. There he goes. Okay, so it was sort of exiting and building a new one each time, I think. I'm not exactly sure, but I think that's what it was doing. Anybody else? Anybody got any cool ones or not working? You're working? All right. So cool. Let's try another one. So we see that we can do a grayscale and a reverse video. I want to do the top half of my picture reverse video and the bottom half grayscale. How can I do that? I've got the code here for both of them. Could I use an if statement? If row less than image dot get height divided by 2. Does that sound good? If so, I will do my reverse video. So I'm going to highlight all 3 of these lines and press tab once to indent them all. Please don't make me slap your hand like you're your grandma when I watch you type. Because you won't do that. Have you ever seen somebody where you have to watch them indent 57 lines manually? In my else clause, I'm going to say, okay, let's calculate the average and do some grayscale action then, if it's lower than that. So now I can kind of split up my image a little bit. The top half I'll do reverse video and the bottom half I'll grayscale. And I wish that it would show that over here, but it's just not set to be the primary display. So I'm watching it to see if it's going to work. Oh, nope, I messed something up. I typed height wrong. Did I? Yes, I did. I'm modulus thinking instead of dividing. And I'm heighting. I always height. Word auto corrects that for me, but Python doesn't. Idle just hasn't got the autocorrect thing going. All right. So I'll divide instead of modulusing. Oh, and now I got an error. That's a good programming error, right? Because my line of code here where I'm updating my pixel should not be within my else clause. It should be outside of that. I want to update that pixel no matter which formula I used to come up with my new pixel colors. All right, one more time. And now I'm finally going. My top half so far is reverse videoing. And now my bottom half is grayscaling.
Mine is only doing grayscale.
Only doing grayscale, huh? So here's what I ended up with, what you should be seeing. Because I've got my reverse and my grayscale. Let's see yours and see if we can figure out why. Let me stop sharing, hang on. Find it. Okay, let's see it. It's okay, it's hard. You should be working. Let's see it.
I think he has the
You see it?
percentage sign instead of divide.
Oh, yep, you're still using modulus.
There we go.
Thank you. Woohoo. Okay. Anybody having any other troubles? Now, what could we do? We could do random columns. We could do random blocks if we wanted to, like beginning and ending blocks to do different types, either grayscale or reverse. Let's see though, I want to see, they have one more example here. They say to do black and white, we could set a threshold and select to either insert a white pixel or a black pixel into the empty image. We could also do some complex math and create interesting effects like sepia. There's some formulas out here and stuff that you can use to find it. So there's all sorts of interesting things we could do there. What about if we just wanted to make some random like black lines or something through? Do you want to try doing that? Let's say, how about we could do it, let's do it in the top half. So under our top half, if, we'll say, if our row maybe is less than less than divided by 4 and row is greater than the row height divided by 3. I don't know if that's going to work out or not, but we'll see. So it's 255 white or black? White. So we really want to do black. So I'm going to do 0 instead. I always have to ask. Okay, so I'm kind of saying that within this row range, I'm going to try to turn everything black. Otherwise, I'm going to try to turn everything into the reverse video. And like I said, my formula here could be flawed. I don't know if that's really going to work for us. We'll try it. I've got indentation issues. I don't know why it doesn't like me.
Try backspace in the mouse one. Not that one.
This one?
That one.
Something is messed up. Maybe this one up here. Yep, there it is. I'm usually more careful than that. Still, man. So you guys is working? Someone else take over and show us.
Slightly to the right of the hip.
Do what?
I think the else is slightly to the right of the hip.
This one down here. My new glasses are killing me, huh? Yeah, they are.
Try
The other else.
Try reinventing the if so that it's the same as the else.
This one, is
So
it?
Next one down, next one down.
This one?
Yeah.
Thank you, you guys. I'm like driving while blind. I came into my Friday class and I was like, have you ever heard of beer goggles? That's what it's like. So this is the first major problem I've had because of them. Thank you. When they put prisms in your glasses, it makes a big difference in where things look sideways like that. I sometimes need help. Okay, we'll see if it's working. I don't know. I don't really see any black lines, do you? They might be too thin too. So I could maybe do a better range. Maybe like, I want to keep it a formula thing, but I'd like to show you how to make it work too. So maybe if I just say, if the row is, I don't know, less than 25 and greater than 15. I should have those backwards, shouldn't I? Because they look backwards. So if it's between row 15 and row 25, I'm going to try to turn it black. I don't like that because I think we're better off if we can do everything using a formula, but I just want to try it to see if I'm going to get some sort of black out. And then I sort of got like a black bar. So we could do a lot of different things that way. Another thing that works out really cool is if you just do random, you can do random row and columns and make those be black or white or something like that if you want to have them be a different color. Now, the ones that we looked at online where we saw there were drips and things, think about those. For that, you would almost have to create a new image and be copying the old stuff to the new one. We could do that. Let's change our code so that you have that capability before we just let you go for it. See how mangled I can get it sideways here. So we said that our window is this right here, this line of code right here, when creates our window. So let's copy that line of code, when equal image dot. And let's make this one be like when new. Now, if I draw my original window, we'll see it. Let's go ahead and draw our when new also. And then we should see both of those windows. Now at this time, I'm just going to run it with those changes to see what happens before I do anything else. So now I have my original image window and my new one. They're both getting redrawn, aren't they? It's almost like they're working on the same image. And they are, because we said our image is an object, and we called that object IMG, and both of these windows are using it. So let me close these. So I can't just copy the window. I also have to copy my image object. So I'm going to copy that line of code. And this one, I'll make it be IMG new. Let me separate these out a little bit so you can see them. And now when I draw my new window, I want to use my new image. So now instead of just one copy of that image, I have two. I have the IMG copy and the IMG new copy. I'm going to create a window to show that original one, and I'm going to create a window to show my new. I'm going to draw the window to show the original one, and then draw the window to show the new. So now I should see one of them update and one of them stay the same. So here's my original IMG new that's not updating. And here's my original IMG that is redrawing every row. So by having that separate window or that separate copy of the image, it's like I have two copies. So why does that matter if I wanted to make things melt on things? Well, now, if I decide to draw a drip over here on this side, I could still go back to this other image and get those original pixels to see what it was like before if I needed to or whatever. So I can just have two different complete copies of it. So your assignment is to do 3 glitches. We almost have 3 on this one, but I'd like you to experiment a little bit and try some different things. You know, maybe move this stripe around, try putting things in different places, try doing calculations so that you could get it to be in a specific spot. Or change the glitches so that we do some grayscale, then reverse, then grayscale again, just mix it up a little bit. But that's really your assignment, is 3 different glitches. So we want you to really have fun with it and try experimenting with things. But you can use them as arrays and do a lot of different things to try if you want to. Anybody having any trouble or questions before we work on this?
For the glitches, are they going to be in the same code, or do we create 3 separate sets of code?
In the same code.
Okay.
So yeah, I want to see them all on the same image. Good question. But you could make them different functions if you wanted to. But I'll leave this up like this. I'm going to go ahead and stop our Zoom session. If anybody has any questions or runs into any trouble, just yell and we'll get them all fixed. I think you're off to a good start.